Yo guys, what is up? Max here in a Diablo 4 video, and today we're talking about all of the new details about the upcoming season 2. They just had the Diablo 4 dev update, which was about 2 hour long live stream that talked about a ton of new quality of life changes, changes to itemization, changes to endgame, changes to new vampiric powers coming. It was about a 2 hour long broadcast, and I'm going to try to sum it up for you in about 10 minutes or less in this video. So I hope you guys enjoy the breakdown of everything coming to Diablo 4 in season 2. Let's get right into it. So we're going to start with like a very big top-down perspective, and then we'll get into like the nitty-gritty stuff. But for like the TLDR, they are increasing the rate that you level up to level 100 by 40%. You're going to level up 40% faster. They're adding in a bunch of new endgame content, particularly endgame bosses that will have dedicated drops, brand new uniques to farm from them. There's 5 new endgame bosses, and then the pinnacle new endgame boss you'll be able to farm uber uniques from, and you'll also be able to get 920 gear score items. They're improving the itemization by now guaranteeing that the item power that drops for you is increased. So if you kill a level 75 enemy, that enemy will have like a certain window of item power that they can drop in. And if you kill a level 80 enemy, that enemy will drop a higher item power window. So as you level up and as you fight harder and harder enemies, you are going to be getting better and better guaranteed item gear score, as opposed to getting like randomly good gear score and doing one activity and then never seeing a gear improvement for like 20 levels. So you're guaranteed to get better gear. They're improving the atomization that way. And then there's also a ton of new things coming with this season. One of the biggest new things coming with the season is the vampiric powers. Now you can have up to 5 vampiric powers activated at a time, and there's 22 to choose from. And these are class agnostic, meaning there's not like a barbarian power that only the barbarian can use. There's not a specific sorc power that only the sorc can use. All the classes can use all these powers and use different combos of them to complement their build styles. Now, I will have a separate video going over all of the different powers and my predictions for what builds are going to excel with these different powers, but that's like a whole different topic because that's going to be a lot of discussion and there's a lot of powers to talk about. Now, all of these vampiric powers are going to have an activation cost. You see these symbols down here. These are the different packs that the vampiric powers are aligned with. So, for example, the Metamorphosis has got 2 of this skull pack, 2 of the goblet pack, and 2 of this like red helmet pack. And in order to activate this, I'm going to need these packs on my gear. Now, these packs you can only put on actual armor, like helmet, chest piece, gloves, pants, and boots. And they look like this. So you can get these packs to drop. For example, this here has this like red pack, looks like a pact of ferocity. And then once I get this consumable to drop, if I get a helmet that I really like, I can then just simply apply that piece of gear to my helmet. So for example, like these gloves dropped with these packs on it, looks like it's got still space for 2 more packs, so then I could use one of those pack symbols and add another like goblet to this, and then my armor is going to need to have all of the resources so that I can activate all of my powers. Another activity that's coming with the season is the Blood Harvest event. These are always going to be active on the map, and they'll be active in different regions. Unlike a Helltide that's only active sometimes, these will always be active, and you can start doing them at level 1. You don't have to wait to endgame to actually activate them. And these are going to have a bunch of like vampires and monsters out in the areas where you can come and kill them, and then you can extinguish Blood Seekers and get Blood Lures to fight these like minions of darkness. And one of the things that you're going to be farming here are packs and also potent bloods, and the potent blood drops are going to be what you need to acquire to unlock and upgrade your vampiric powers. Another thing coming with the season are 5 new endgame bosses, and this was the chart that they pulled up on stream to show what the content was of the game on launch. And as you can see, these are the things that you're doing in World Tier 1, level 1 through 50, local events, campaign, renown, capstone dungeons, whispers. Then you get to 50 and 70, capstone dungeons, hell times, world bosses, nightmare sigils. And as you can see, 71 to 100, which most players were complaining about, and rightfully so, there just wasn't much things to do at endgame. Well, this is what they were showing is going to be the end game once season 2 launches, and it's not just a seasonal thing, it's going to be a permanent thing. So as we can see here, these are all of the new end game bosses that they're adding. Echo of Arshan is an old boss, but it's got new functionality here, where we've also got the Beast in the Ice, Duriel, King of Maggots, Grigor, the Galvanic Saint, and Lord Zur as all of these new endgame bosses. Now, these new endgame bosses are going to have dedicated drops, and you're going to need to do different activities to actually be able to kill them. So, for example, Nightmare Dungeons, tiers 21 through 100 will be able to drop a material that you can craft a new Nightmare Sigil that will be a Nightmare Sigil for the Beast in the Ice. And then when you kill the Beast in the Ice, you can beat it and then get its uniques. And then if you want to keep farming that, you would keep doing Nightmare Dungeons. But if you want to fight Duriel, King of Maggots, you got to do Whispers to get pieces of like crafting materials to summon Echo of Vershan to fight Echo of Vershan, which has got its own endgame items. And then that'll give you pieces to farm Duriel, and then you got to get the other pieces by doing Hell Tides, which will give you pieces to farm Grigor, the Galvanic Saint, and then those pieces will give you materials to then put together with the Echo of Vershan pieces to fight Duriel, King of Maggots. And so there are a lot more endgame things, and there's also more reason to do different activities at endgame. Like, you are now incentivized to go do Legion events if you want to fight Lord Zur, or do world events if you want to fight Lord Zur. I think this all looks really, really promising. The fact that there's dedicated drops, and Duriel, King of Maggots, is going to be dropping guaranteed highest item power 920 gear when you kill him. It's guaranteed 920 best gear in the game, and it can drop uber uniques, means that we've really got an endgame chase to do. And the fact that we're going to be getting to level 100 40% faster means that we're going to have things to go do when we're level 100 to still improve our gear and like level up our character. In terms of base game endgame activities, they're buffing doing Whispers in the XP and the gold. They're buffing Hell Tides. They're buffing cashing in Grim Favors. They are boosting up monster level XP. So now the like potency of experience bonuses from your elixirs, season blessings, and stuff are going to be multiplicative with your world tier bonus. And the monsters are no longer going to be trailing you in level in the open world, so that you're going to have more incentive to kill them and get better gear. Nightmare Sigils, they are changing Nightmare Dungeons. They showed in the live stream some reworks to like the actual layout of Nightmare Dungeons, so that there's going to be even less backtracking. They're removing objectives from a lot of dungeons where you had to like go open cells of like free prisoners or collect orbs. Now, in a lot of dungeons, you're going to be able to just run to the boss. So you can go and kill things in that dungeon if you'd like, or you can just run to the boss and beat it and move on to the next thing. They're reworking a lot of the modifiers. For example, Backstabbers was originally like monsters deal 150% more damage to you if they hit you in the back. Now it's going to be monsters, when they attack you from behind, they make you vulnerable, and then you're going to take more damage while you're vulnerable, but it's not like an immediate one shot. You'll be able to react to that. Same with monster critical resist. Instead of monsters take 60% less damage from critical hits, monster attacks will gradually reduce your critical strike by like your critical strike damage. They're not like great, honestly. I just don't enjoy these modifiers, but they're improvements so that there's less like insta scrap ones. The biggest one, I still think that they need to improve Lightning Storm. They basically made it so that if you get into the Dome of Protection, you're going to get a movement speed buff so that you can go through the dungeon faster. But I just don't like dying to these death pulses, these lightning storms, and these drifting shades. I want to die to monsters. I don't want to die to modifiers. And they are making some big changes to make these like death modifiers less intrusive to your playstyle. But I still think that just removing them altogether would be better. They're also buffing Paragon Glyph experience so that you can get those Paragon Glyphs up to level 21 faster. And they're buffing events so that monster density in events is going to be even better. And NPCs won't get one shot in World Tier 3 and 4 for like the protect this NPC during this event. They will now have significant amount of health so you can actually do those events. Next up, for item adjustments, they're reducing overall reroll costs so that if you're looking for something specific, the item and the cost of rerolling that item isn't going to just like jump up drastically. It'll be a higher cost to reroll initially, but it'll stay around that same cost, or only increase like a little bit when you're constantly rerolling an item looking for your perfect things, which also should help with itemization. They're also reducing inventory stress. So in World Tier 3, normal magic and non-sacred rare items will drop as crafting resources, meaning that if a blue item was to drop, it'll just drop as the crafting resource. So you don't need to pick up normal and blue items to get the like mats that you usually would get from breaking them down. I remember like being level 100 and needing a bunch of white items or a bunch of blue items because I didn't have the resource. So now instead of those dropping as items, you're just going to see crafting mats dropping on the ground. And in World Tier 4, normal magic and non-ancestral rare items will drop as crafting resources. They are removing sacred items, sacred rare items from World Tier 4, meaning you're only going to be getting ancestral level items, which also will help with itemization and also help with just the amount of loot clutter and everything that you're getting in your inventory. So you just no longer will see non-ancestral items on World Tier 4. If it's a legendary, it'll still drop, so you can still get like a sacred legendary, but you're not going to see like non-sacred rares, non-ancestral rares on World Tier 4 anymore. Next up, this is a big one. They basically removed the renown grind. If you have beaten the renown grind in Diablo 4, you no longer need to do it again. All of the rewards from doing renown carry over. So for example, if you beat the renown or maxed out your renown on one of your characters in a previous season or on the Eternal Realm, all of the rewards will be given to you. So you can still do renown, you can still do side quests, you can still do dungeons and earn renown, but you will be starting on all of your characters with all of your skill points and all of your paragon points if you have beaten the renown or completed your renown on another character. So you no longer need to just do any renown content at all when you're starting a new character in a new season, which is fantastic. They also made a bunch of changes to mounts. Mounts are going to be faster. The dismount time is cut in half, like the cooldown for if you jump off the horse and then want to summon the horse back. They cut that in half. They cut off the like forced dismount time. They improved the like moving the horse on mouse, so you don't need to like put your mouse to like the edge of your screen to make it go fast. And it can now break through barriers. If you're like dashing with the horse, it'll just break through barriers, which is really, really nice. They're also adjusting towns. One of the big criticisms with towns is everything was so spaced out and it was just like huge hassle to go from one vendor to another. So they're improving the layouts of towns and the NPCs in them. They're also going to give us more waypoints in each region when you start a brand new character that is already going to be unlocked. And that all sounds really, really nice, as well as them adding finally a like search feature in your stash tabs in towns. And they're also going to be adding more stash in towns. So not more stash tabs, but there's going to be more areas where you can like go to your stash in like little towns and in the main towns. And then you'll be able to actually like search through and filter your stuff while you're in your stash. Those are kind of all of the big picture seasonal changes that are coming in their next dev stream, which happens in 6 days from now. Their campfire chat, they're going to be covering class balance changes, updates to damage resistances, changes to unique item acquisition, and more. They said they're also like changing a bunch of uniques. Like they said, like every unique item in the game is basically getting some changes to it. And so all of the like class balance, they said they're working on the damage buckets and like changing the damage buckets for vulnerable and crit and overpower. And so all of those things we'll get more information on in 6 days. And then I'll also have another video going over the powers and my predictions with the powers. But overall, I think all of these changes sound really, really good. They're clearly listening to the community and the things that we want and the things that we're voicing our feedback on, which is fantastic. I know the sentiment for Diablo 4 is not very high. In fact, this stream that I was watching that had like the dev stream had like 1/5 of the viewers that they had on their last like big dev update stream, which was pretty crazy to see. But overall, I really do hope that these changes, while they do sound really good on paper, play out as well as they sound, because they're changing a lot of things that I really was frustrated with. The biggest thing for me personally is endgame activities and endgame grind. New uniques to grind. We've got 12 new uniques. We've got new powers, 22 new powers. We've got more endgame activities to do, more reasons to do different things at endgame. One thing I forgot to mention, I didn't see it in this list, but you now, when you fast travel to a nightmare dungeon, you don't fast travel to the outside and then have to go into a loading screen and then inside. You're just going to fast travel immediately into the nightmare dungeon. So they've removed like a load screen. But yeah, all of this sounds really good. Will it be enough? Only time will tell. All of these things could be amazing, and then just like people still burn out on the game in like 2 weeks. But I personally think they kind of crushed it with all of these changes, and I'm curious how like the class balance things are going to look, because that could definitely sway some opinions. But overall, I think all of these things that they've listed are good changes and are in favor of the players. They're making our lives easier. They're removing renown. They're making leveling easier. And they all just sound like nice quality of life stuff, as well as the seasonal content should be a lot more beefy than it was offering wise last season. That's going to be it for my like rant slash rumbling. I will catch y'all on the next one, guys. Take care. Peace.